Well, good evening. Welcome to Left, Right and Centre. I'm Vishnu Shom. On the programme tonight, Jagadish Shettar, the former Chief Minister of Karnataka, now in the Congress after quitting the BJP, joins us for a very special interview that's coming up in the next few minutes. With several leaders or legislators from the BJP choosing to quit the party, we look at the BJP's prospects in these elections, but also try and unravel why so many are choosing to walk. Also, the BJP's reaction to fairly hard-hitting remarks made by Jagadish Shettar. Next up, after that, the Centre again today opposed the Supreme Court hearing of requests seeking legal sanction to same-sex marriages, stating that only Parliament can decide on the creation of a new social relationship. But in a significant observation, the Chief Justice said there is no absolute concept of a man or an absolute concept of a woman at all. When the Special Marriage Act says man and woman, the very notion of a man and a woman is not an absolute one based on their genitals. And finally, it's the turn of the United Kingdom to look closely at the prospect of restricting the end-to-end encryption. In other words, the technology that ensures that your WhatsApp or Signal communications cannot be seen by anyone other than you and the person with whom you're communicating. Now, we've had this debate in India as well. It's basically about the right to privacy versus the need to ensure safety. The UK Online Safety Bill is meant to force internet companies to remove illegal content such as child sexual abuse or terrorism. But several companies, from WhatsApp to Signal, Session and The Wire, have now all signed a letter telling the government in the UK they must rethink it. Some of them have said they aren't interested in business in the United Kingdom if end-to-end encryption is actually something that goes away. But we're going to turn our attention to our big focus, and we've been looking at the situation in Karnataka. The latest big leader to leave the BJP and join the Congress, the former Chief Minister Jagadish Shettar, who joins us now. Sir, thanks very much for being with us. Now, you're someone very closely aligned or attached with the BJP, right from the Jansangh to the BJP, raising the party in Karnataka, and now to the Congress of all parties. Why have you left that past to join the Congress now?
Because last so many months and last 2 years, what humiliation I suffered from some people of the Karnataka. Because of that, it is inevitable to quit the party and joining the Congress. It is humiliation.
Mr. Shettar,
and
why do you believe
self-respect is disturbed?
Right. So, why do you believe, and you've said this, that there was a conspiracy against you because the BJP says that they're looking for younger faces?
If younger faces they want to see, why they were given ticket to the 72 years old, 73 olds and 75 years old people, around about 15 to 20 people they have given a ticket. Why they have given? Why they have youngsters have not replaced? What is the answer?
So no explanation given to you at all?
No explanation. On 11th April, our in charge, they telephoned me, they instructed me, today first list is going to declare and your name is not there, your ticket is denied, so only you have to accept it and please send the acceptance letter. This is a simple direction by the party that through in charge Mr. Dharmendra Pradhan. How it is possible? I am a senior leader.
Right.
Humiliation. I prepared everything for the election for the 7th time, and last six election I got elected with a huge margin of 25,000. Our people liked me. They respect me. They expected this time with a huge margin they want to elect me to the assembly. Why this humiliation? If negative things is there, if in a survey I am unpopular or any minus points, whether I am a corrupt man, whether any criminal background, nothing. Any CDs are there with me, any allegations are there, nothing, no black spot, clean image is there for me. You ask any people of the Karnataka, complete cleanism. What is I want explanation, reasons for the denial ticket. Nobody is explained.
Right.
Up till now.
No, but
they are simply saying it is a party decision. It is party decision, you obey it.
Okay. Sir, the BJP says that you're insulting the Lingayat community where you are a strong leader. You've historically been one in that community by joining the Congress party. Now you're insulting the Lingayats. Is that a worry that you may actually lose ground within the community where you've been strong?
No, please, it is a completely false allegations. You ask the people of the community also, they will laugh it. Sir, here, because of Yediyurappa is the strongest Lingayat leader, is a mass leader. Everybody accept him. Immediately after Yediyurappa, in the party, I am the next senior leader. And the people accepted me. And after denied ticket, without any reasons, every Lingayat people are very feel sorry, and even they sympathetic to me, and they expressed by telephoning to, and so many people are coming to Hubballi, they are asking, and from that onwards, even so many people, even non-community Lingayat people also, but other community people also started suffering.
But sir, is it true that you were offered a Rajya Sabha
sympathetic about me, and nobody is there that Shettar is made wrong.
But is it true that you were offered a Rajya Sabha berth, but you still said no to that? Would that not have been an acceptable solution for you?
No, please, when it started alternative system, even on the 11th of the April, when Dharmendra Pradhanji telephoned me, at that time what he simply said, your ticket is denied. Any alternative system, alternative future plan is there, party, nothing has been said. If it is a plan is there, if they call personally and to the Delhi or in Bangalore and explain everything, Shettarji, this time you please not to contest election, and other B plan is there, you will be given opportunity. But when I started protesting this decision, then the second day, third day, the proposal started.
Right.
Why not first? Why not first? Because it will be happen something negative, so they started alternative system. Why? In the beginning, they are not why told me.
How is it, sir, that when you look at the BJP, things went off so smoothly in Gujarat in terms of candidate selection, but in Karnataka it's been so difficult. Lakshman Savadi, for example, and other legislators, not just you, has the BJP failed to feel the pulse of local BJP leaders?
Here I will say Gujarat is entirely different. Karnataka is entirely different. Political situation this situation is entirely different, sir. And in Gujarat, there is the Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji ka or Honorable Home Minister Amit Shah ji ka direct connect with the people. They know the pulse of the people of the Gujarat from beginning. They ruled the entire state so many years. But here Karnataka is entirely different. So regarding studying ground reality, nobody is in what are the political in-charges are there, and who are the make in-charges, and there are no ground reality of the Karnataka people. Nothing has mishandled because of mishandling of in-charges. It is a failure of because of all this happening. Everywhere, in every district you go, everywhere it is a disturbance.
Sir, but
no person is being peaceful.
Be honest about this, sir. Can you be aligned to the Congress so soon after having spent decades in the BJP, or are you doing this essentially to seek revenge on the BJP?
No. If election is not there, so many days I will wait and explain to the High Command. Then I will see the feelings of what is Jagadish Shettar hurt. There, right. If time is there, I don't want to take immediate steps because of election. 20th is the last date for the nomination. So my decision I taken very hurriedly because of I want to contest in the election, because self-respect is hurted. Self-respect of the Karnataka people is hurted. For that purpose, not revenge.
But will you remain loyal to the Congress? You've been a BJP leader, as I said, for so long. And your priority seems to be to contest the election for yourself. You've been with the BJP for so long. Are you willing to say on record that you will remain with the Congress indefinitely?
Definitely. Whenever in the 30 years from Janasangh to BJP. Last 40-50 years, my family is in the BJP Janasangh. Wherever I go to other parties,
and the Congress
definitely
now?
My commitment to that party.
Okay, so you're going to remain loyal to the Congress, is what you're saying. Have you spoken to Rahul Gandhi so far?
No, other except Rahul Gandhi ji, all other leaders, Karge ji, Venugopal, and Surjewala, and DK Shivakumar, Siddaramaiah, everybody I talk and discuss.
Why? Who do you blame, sir, in the BJP specifically for denying you a ticket? Is there any one individual you think is responsible, or do you feel that the party high command in its wisdom denied you a ticket?
It is the high command is not involved, particularly in the Karnataka in charge, particularly BL Santhosh. BL Santhosh, he mishandled everything.
Mishandled. So, Mr. Santhosh,
I have called the press conference. I will explain everything.
No, but Mr. Santhosh is responsible for denying this to you. So all the blame resides with him, is what you're saying.
I will.
Sir, have you confronted BL Santhosh?
Definitely, I will explain everything. I called immediately within 5 minutes. Important press conference. I explained everything because it takes some time.
So you have confronted him, and you intend to come out with more details on BL Santhosh?
Yes. Immediately, in a detailed press conference, I will explain everything.
Okay. Sir, is there a churning happening in the BJP? Mr. Yediyurappa was first, in the past asked to step down as chief minister, later was projected as a tall leader, an important leader. Now, you've been denied tickets, several others as well. Has the BJP in Karnataka decided to change its Karnataka narrative?
No, time is already gone. I am now in Congress. So, it is left to the Bharatiya Janata Party.
Sir, you think the core RSS cadre and voters of the BJP who've rejected the Congress, in your own constituency since 1994 will shift with you, or is that really a big risk that you've taken by joining the Congress?
No big risk. People of the Hubli, they liked me, give the respect, honor, and that relation is heart-to-heart relation with the people, Hubli people. So that relation is continued. Even Hubli people started telling me, you are in a BJP or any other party, we like Jagadish Shettar individually, we are going to elect this huge margin, this time huge margin.
Sir, final question, and again, be honest about this. Do you believe the Congress has a serious chance of winning the election, or will it be a close fight with the BJP? Will the JDS be a dark horse, as the elections end?
Because of latest in whatever events happened, now Congress is gaining day by day. Congress is gaining. It is a loss to the BJP.
Okay, so the Congress are gaining day by day, and that might sort of win them the elections, is what you're suggesting. Of course, now you are a congressman. Thank you very much, sir, Mr. Shettar, for being with us. Now, very strong allegations mentioned over there with Jagadish Shettar telling NDTV that BL Santhosh, the senior leader, was singularly responsible for him being denied a ticket in the BJP. Now, we did pose this question, journalists did pose this question to the senior BJP leader and MP Shobha Karandlaje, asking for a response to those allegations. Here's what she said.
Jagadish Shettar avarige Bharatiya Janata Party ಏನು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಾಡಿತ್ತು. ಭಾರತೀಯ ಜನತಾ ಪಾರ್ಟಿ ಅವರನ್ನ ಶಾಸಕರು ಮಾಡ್ತು, ವಿರೋಧ ಪಕ್ಷದ ನಾಯಕರನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ, ಮಂತ್ರಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿನೂ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಜಗದೀಶ್ ಶೆಟ್ಟರ್ಗೆ ಏನು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗಿದೆ? ಭಾರತೀಯ ಜನತಾ ಪಾರ್ಟಿ ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಇವತ್ತು ರಾಜ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಗೌರವ ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಅವರನ್ನ ಮಾಜಿ ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷ, ಮಾಜಿ ವಿರೋಧ ಪಕ್ಷದ ನಾಯಕ, ಮಾಜಿ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಕಾರಣ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಬಿಜೆಪಿ ಕಾರಣ. ಇಂಥವರು ಹೆತ್ತ ತಾಯಿಯನ್ನ ತುಳಿದು ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಜನ ಪಾಠ ಕಲಿಸ್ತಾರೆ. ಇವತ್ತು BL ಸಂತೋಷ್ ಅವರು ಭಾರತೀಯ ಜನತಾ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಚುನಾವಣಾ ರಾಜಕೀಯಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಂತವರಲ್ಲ, ಸಂಘಟನೆಗಾಗಿ ಬಂದಂತವರು. ಅವರು ಎಲ್ಲೂ ML ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಅವರು ಎಲ್ಲೂ MP ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆಂದು MLA ಆಗ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿಲ್ಲ, ಅವ್ರು ಮಂತ್ರಿ ಆಗ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿಲ್ಲ. ಅವರು ಬಂದಿರುವಂತದ್ದು ಭಾರತೀಯ ಜನತಾ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಯನ್ನ ಕಟ್ಟೋದಕ್ಕೆ, ಸಂಘಟನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಯುವಕರನ್ನು ಬೆಳೆಸೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅಂತವರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡಿ ಇವತ್ತು ಜಗದೀಶ್ ಶೆಟ್ಟರ್ ಅವರ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಅನ್ನ ಅವರು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ನಾನೇನು ಹೇಳಲ್ಲ.
All right, so Shobha Karnataka is saying that people will teach Jagadish Shettar a lesson. Joining us now, Madhu Rao of the BJP, Aishwarya Mahadev of the Congress. Mr. Rao, he puts all the blame on BL Santhosh, saying that he's been betrayed by him and that he's singularly responsible. He's also said that there's been a conspiracy. How would you respond to that?
Well, good evening, Vishnu, and I think I was just listening to those statements, whatever has been made by Mr. Jagadish Shettar. I think they are all obnoxious remarks. It is atrocious. But for natural, for a person who has left the party and has gone to the other side, it's easy to take pot shots at another person. Having said that, it was the same Mr. Jagadish Shettar, quote unquote. Let me state as to what he had told. He had told Congress is in ICU in Karnataka. In whole of India, the Congress is decimated. DK Shivkumar and Siddaramaiah are giving problems to the Congress party. They are finishing the Congress party, unquote. But this is what Mr. Shettar had told just about 2 days back.
But Madhu, look, let's
One
face
minute,
it. There are no.
I have Vishnu, please kindly bear with me. I have a very sore throat. Please kindly. This was the same Mr. Jagadish Shettar, and I am just amazed as to how within a matter of a day he is able to perhaps bat for the Congress party. I would only ask Mr. Jagadish Shettar, kindly remind of him as to he has been a 6-time MLA, he has been a chief minister, he has been a revenue minister, he has been a leader of opposition from the BJP, and he has been a Sangh man, mind you. This being the case, I just want to ask Mr. Jagadish Shettar, what are your ideological thought process when you went to the Congress party? Isn't it selfishness? Isn't it opportunism? Let me ask him a question.
But he's answered that, Madhu. He said so. In fact, he said that, look, I'm having to do this because I've been insulted. There's been a conspiracy against me.
There are other ways.
Etc. etc. But one question, Madhu, a specific question to a specific point that he mentioned on seat allocation by the BJP. Is it not true that individuals above the age of 70, well over the age of 70, have been granted seats? So he feels that he's been let down by the BJP in that respect. Because the argument which has been given is that, look, we want to build a young party in Karnataka.
Well, that is a fact. Yes, there is a generational thought process and a shift which is taking place in BJP, of course. And well, 67 years, I do agree that there is one of the parameters which was considered. And there are other parameters also which the parliamentary board and the core committee must have decided. And to say that, okay, the age is one of the factors, perhaps it must have been one of the factors. Family is also one of the factors. And over and above, Dharmendra Pradhan, our Yadurappa ji, everyone met. He convinced them that you will be given a Rajya Sabha MP seat and also a ministerial berth in the center. And of all, in spite of it, if a person has to leave, perhaps for selfish goals or opportunistic politics, I think the day is for Mr. Jagadish Shettar. I cannot say anything more than that.
Aishwarya, is it not risky for the Congress party to have a person who's so closely been identified with the Jansangh, with the RSS, with the birth and development of the BJP in your state? All of a sudden, he's a congressman now, overnight, with all your values, all intact. Are you sure?
Good evening, Som. I think more than anything else, we have decided to treat a man with self-respect because we acknowledge, irrespective of the ideology, that we acknowledge that for 40 years, the man has worked in a region, he has raised a party from nothing, and now in his last days, he's been turned away, and that is what was extremely unfortunate one. The second thing, Vishnu, if I may, Madhu spoke about it very passionately about, how he had said all these things about the Congress. When Mr. Yadurappa in 2013 left the BJP, he says, I will never go back. They are a house of traitors. I will make sure they're decimated. While the BJP leaders who had still remained, mind you, Shobha Karnataka talking so strongly about BL Santhosh today, he wasn't even there in the party. She had left with Mr. Yadurappa. While the leaders who were still in the BJP said time and time again that this man is the biggest traitor that we have ever seen. We will never take him. There is massive betrayal. And mind you, he was not worth much anyway. Then Q to 2018, who was your chief ministerial face, who's the man that you brought back to power? This is the BJP talking like holier than thou, while the reality is very different. Vishnu, let's break this down. There is ideology, yes, but ideology at the cost of your self-respect and the fact that you have worked for something so much and in your end being turned away was what Mr. Shettar very clearly spoke out. And Vishnu,
No, but what
yesterday
about the Congress ideology? Not about his self-respect. The Congress works on principles which are diametrically different from the BJP. That is the reason for
One second.
right. And now so it's the politics of convenience for you. That here's a strong leader, a Lingayat leader. You want to make a mark in the Lingayat community. You had two strong leaders, one a ex-deputy chief minister, one an ex-CM. Cross over to you. It's not for ideology. It's just simple, cynical, getting votes and winning seats. Right? Admit that, Aishwarya.
It is not cynical getting votes and getting seats. It is not like we did not have candidates in those two seats, both of whom were consulted and both of whom said they would prefer to have these senior leaders come in. But Vishnu, look at the visuals you're showing me. The minute you move from whatever color the BJP uses to the tricolor of the Congress, it is for him to choose our ideology and work with us. It is for him to take along the Congress.
But are you sure, Aishwarya, that he's doing it for the Congress and not for himself? Because in that interview of mine, I really had to force that out of him that, will you become a congressman? Because the entire focus of that interview was that, look, I have been insulted. There's a conspiracy against me. BL Santhosh went and did this. I have been denied. I have done so much for the BJP. It was far less about what he believes in the Congress.
We believe we gave him the self-respect that he needed towards the end of what he thought was one of his last elections. We believe that from the minute he wore the shawl and the minute he held the flag, he is going to work towards that. And we believe the workers, and mind you, Shiv, over 15 to 16 of the corporators, all BJP in his constituency, have resigned now and will be joining the Congress. Okay. And whether it was political inevitability, whether it was ideology, the fact remains that the Congress was anyway well past 140 seats. This is just only going to further bolster us.
Okay, Aishwarya. We'll see what finally happens.
A Lingayat leader that the BJP could not.
Half a sec, Madhu. Aishwarya, hold on. Let me just go to Madhu. Madhu, running out of time. Go ahead. Make your point. My question quickly. The Lingayat group, community, Lakshman Savadi and him over there, the Congress looking to really make inroads, particularly in areas where Jagadish Shettar is dominated. Won't they be able to do that now?
Vishnu, not a single leader who has left the BJP has been doing well. If we want to tell about the fact of Lingayat issue, we know how the Congress party has time insulted the Lingayat leaders right from Nijlingappa, Virendra Patil. So we know how things were there at that point of time. We even remember the stalwarts like Rajshekar Murthy in the Mysore who went to JDS, enough had of a Congress party. So therefore, to say that he will do well, fair enough. We wish all best of luck for him. But when I will have to ask the Congress party, kindly ask Mr. Jagadish Shettar about the ideological thought process of coast water, conversion, PFI issue, terrorism, Tipu Jayanti to Mr. Jagadish Shettar, because he was against all those things. And a day just before he was telling that I am against all this, and a day just after he is with all these things. So therefore, I think the Congress party needs to ask him, this is just a political, a stunt. It's a politics of convenience. It is just a politics of convenience and an opportunist and a selfishness of Mr. Jagadish Shettar, which perhaps he's going to answer in the days to come.
All right, we'll see what finally happens. I'd like to thank you both very much for joining us. We're going to take a short break. Up after that, there's a landmark case being heard in the Supreme Court. Same-sex marriage, will it become a reality in India? The centre repeated many of their arguments on why they believe it's not the time to accept same-sex marriages in India. Members of the gay community, however, said that no, it is time and it's a question of basic rights. We have a fantastic panel coming up. You don't want to miss this debate. Stay tuned. Well, next up on the show, the centre again today opposed the Supreme Court hearing of requests seeking legal sanction for same-sex marriages, stating that only Parliament can decide the creation of a new social relationship. But in a significant observation, the Chief Justice said there's no absolute concept of a man or an absolute concept of a woman at all. So that's important because if you look at the Special Marriage Act, then presently the definition of a man and a woman are very clear and very spelled out. But if that definition is much more fluid, as members of the LGBTQI community repeatedly argue, then perhaps the Special Marriage Act as we know it now needs to be construed differently, but that's what the court's going to decide. Joining us, Shayantika Mojumdar and Nikita Prakash. They are a couple and obviously looking at this all very, very closely indeed. Tanushree Bhalla, petitioner in this case, joins us as well. She's a lawyer, a jurist and gender expert. Raga De Silva is an LGBT influencer. Shashank Shekhar Jha is an advocate in the Supreme Court. He opposes same-sex marriage. He has a lot of concerns, and Dr. Geeta Bhatt has her set of concerns as well. Shashank, let me come to you first, because what the judge said today, I think it was the Chief Justice. It was the Chief Justice who said that the Special Marriage Act says man and woman, the very notion of a man and a woman is not an absolute based on their genitals, right? So therefore, when you're arguing legally, right, saying that, there is a traditional definition of a man and a woman based on their physiology, if that entire argument is thrown out, there and relationships and gender is deemed to be entirely fluid, then how do present laws apply at all?
Namaste Vishnuji and your fellow panelists. Vishnuji, though Supreme Court have observed that the notion of marriage has changed in past many years as contended by the other side, it was rightly pointed out by the government as well as the amicus curiae now senior lawyer Kapil Sibal, that we need to understand that why Special Marriage Act has been granted. In fact, a particular lawyer has in fact quoted section 19 of the Special Marriage Act, and I will read it for you. Effects of marriage on member of undivided family, which says the marriage solemnized under this act, etc., will be and all those of Hindu religion, Hindu, Buddhist and Jain religions who will be marrying in this will have severe effect for their family. So I guess whatever CGI is saying off the record and which is not the part and parcel of the written order, I guess that should not be considered as the actual outcome of the pending petition. We need to understand that two things have.
But Shashank, before I go across to my other panelists, you've not really answered my question. But let me make it a little bit more specific. After the government argued in court that the Special Marriage Act's intent has been for a relationship between, and I quote, a biological male and a biological female, what the judge said is that it's not the question of what your genitals are, it's much more complex, right? So even when the Special Marriage Act says woman and man, the very notion of a man and a woman, per the Chief Justice, I'm reading his quote, is not an absolute one based on genitals. So therefore, if the definition of sex itself, in terms of gender itself, is fluid now, then how does that not change the entire perception and existing laws and our interpretation of that? That's my question.
Vishnuji, I will be very specific to this question. Now, when the Supreme Court CGI is saying that gender is fluid and all kinds of adoption should be allowed, now government has clearly stated that no, in fact, even Special Marriage Act, which came into existence in 1954, is the outcome of already social norms which is available in the society. And what are the social norms? What does our religion says? What our cultural aspects are? It says that only a biological man and a biological woman can marry, and this cannot be disputed by anyone irrespective of whichever side he is or he is not. And addition to that, I will just say that Supreme Court also did two more things today, apart from various oral observation. One, Supreme Court categorically stated that it will not interfere the personal laws, including Hindu Marriage Act, which was challenged before this court.
No, but it's the interpretation of that, Shashank, which the Supreme Court will decide on. And the Supreme Court also told the petitioners, Shashank, that look, we will decide, the court will decide whether they can actually look at it or not, because the government has been arguing.
Supreme Court is not going into that. I am so sorry, but Supreme Court, including all 5 judges, has categorically stated that they will not interpret the Hindu Marriage Act, and this entire constitutional bench will confine on only.
No, they are going to. The Supreme Court is going to be looking at it through the prism of the Special Marriage Act, right, Shashank?
Yes.
Okay.
And second point.
Right. Okay, hang on a second. Raga De Silva, let me come to you next. When the judge, as an observation, it's not a ruling or anything as yet, actually makes a statement as profound as this, that it's well beyond genitals. The identity of a person, the notion of a man and the notion of a woman is not absolute at all, Is that not a very progressive way at looking at a very basic issue that all of you have raised for so long? That what is a man and what is a woman? How do you construct a man and a woman? Right? Because identity is entirely fluid. Right? It's not determined by your genitals alone. If that is the case, then doesn't that entire argument give you a lot of hope?
Absolutely. You know, when I heard them talk today in the morning, I was just like, I got off my seat, I clapped my hands, I said, finally, we are speaking the language of the world, really. We are progressive. India is very progressive, but we've been squashed by all these archaic rules by some people who I have no idea why they feel so insecure about providing us and giving us equal rights, as simple as that. So yes, we are not talking about a man and a woman anymore. We're talking about persons. A marriage is a union not just between a biological man and a biological woman.
Exactly.
Marriage is a union between two people. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
The last 200 years may have changed for whatever reasons because of the new laws that we implemented. But that is our religion as well. 200 years ago, this is the language we spoke. We're just asking to relearn that language. Society, please relearn this language.
Shayantika, Nikita, any one of you, are you hopeful of there being progress? You've been a couple for how long?
4 years, yes.
You've been and you'd like to get married, you know?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right. So that being the case, you're really looking at this very, very closely. Are you filled with hope? Because let's face it, the arguments raised by the government are strong. They've been arguing, for example, that look, it's not for the courts to decide all of this, besides a whole lot of other things. But do you feel that your case is strong?
See, more than filled with hope, I would say we feel that it's long overdue. It is the right time for this, and it is way more than long overdue, because as Indian citizens, we should have the same rights as every other citizen of India. We are tax-paying citizens of India. If a street citizen of India has the right to get married, so should we. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as a basic right. Marriage should not be restricted to only, like the center said before, marriage should not be restricted to only a biological man or woman. In fact, the concept of gender itself is so fluid, like the CGI correctly put forth. Marriage is a union that is observed by our law, that is validated by our law, and that should not be the privilege of certain sexual orientations and genders. Because right now, it is only limited to a privilege. It is not just about a big fat wedding, right? It is also about all the laws that street people get to enjoy that come with marriage, which are denied to us.
I'll just come to that in a moment. Nikita, the argument which has been given in the Supreme Court yesterday was that same-sex marriage is an elite construct, right, for social justification. How would you respond to that?
I'm quite surprised with this statement, actually. I do not understand. People are getting married everywhere in this country. The love is not defined by pin codes, right? We are more privileged to talk about it, but there are so many voices which are hidden and not getting amplified and not getting the opportunity to even come out and talk about it. So many people are closeted. So there is so much stigma in the society already about this. Luckily, thankfully, at least the decriminalization of 377 has helped us gain some space and given us the courage to be more visible. And and for the rural areas or the not so elite, also, they are also suffering.
It's not like there's a border to being gay. It's not like when you leave outside the city, your rainbows fade away. People are gay everywhere, whether they are in a city or whether they are in
That's an interesting, your rainbows don't fade away once you move out of a city. But I take your point. Geetaji, there's another argument that was raised today by Menika Guruswamy, who's been a champion for this cause, has been one of the petitioners when Section 377 was decriminalized. She said, and I quote, "Marriage is a question of rights. I'm not able to notify my partner to life insurance. I cannot buy insurance from the Supreme Court Bar Association for my family." So that's what it is all about. It's not just about two people coming together and wanting to live in a marriage. It's also about rights and a whole lot of other rights. So since we are all equal in the eyes of the law, in the eyes of the constitution, shouldn't this sort of follow same-sex marriage?
Well, Vishnuji, I would like to make a couple of points.
Go ahead.
Here. Yeah. First is that, if you look as per our Indian tradition, as you said that it is, if you look in our old scriptures, the individuals at times were being addressed as Hey Atman. Atma, that it is not a man or a woman, but a Atma, which I don't think soul would be an appropriate English translation. But the fact remains that concept of Ardhanarishwar was present in the Indian context.
Yes.
So there was always a space and always has been a space for people from third gender or those who believe in homosexuality. And we see in Kama Sutra written by Rishi Vatsayan, it very well elaborates on that. So that space was always there in the society for people who were not oriented in a particular way in terms of their conjugal relationships. Now, the point over here is that if you look, which is in contrary to the European countries where till late 1970s homosexuality was criminalized. In fact, in countries like Spain till Second World War, homosexuality could lead to death sentence. So that contradiction, because time and again, even in the court, I was listening to the proceedings. Time and again, there were, the example of US and European laws were being given. Let us also not forget that US is the same country where the right of a woman to terminate her pregnancy, what it stands for, in contrast to what law we have in India. Please keep that also in mind. So my point over here is that as far as if you are talking in terms of giving a legal surety or a legal cover to a partner or to a relationship, just like in live-in relationships also we have seen that there is a provision for providing a legal surety or a legal cover to those people who are not in a
no, Geeta ji, we are using the M word over here, marriage. They already have live-in relationships, already have legal protection. We are only talking about marriage over here.
Yes. Give me just 20 seconds. So,
please.
My point over here is that when you are talking of marriage, the whole definition of marriage, first of all, because it is not so simple. First of all, how you define marriage will have to be, have to be looked into. And based on that, then you can decide how other things have to be notified. Secondly, right now we are
but
saying...
Geeta ji, let me interrupt you to just ask a very basic question. Geeta ji, a very basic question to you. Aren't we, as Hindus in our country, equal in the eyes of God? Aren't our fellow panelists over here, right?
Definitely.
Aren't they all equal in the eyes of God? Because they're certainly equal in the eyes of the Constitution. If we are all equal in the eyes of God, then why don't we, for example, throw away this entire argument that, our religion and old traditions have said one thing. Ultimately, the more profound aspect of our faith is that we are all, for example, in Hinduism, we are all equal in the eyes of our God. That's what we aspire to. So if anybody else seeks to be equal in their relationship, they're just the same as us. What difference does it make, Geeta ji?
The point is that my point is that I would like, for example, I would like to relate it. Today we so much talk about, there are so much environment concerns. We say that there is a climate challenge, climate change is happening, there is a challenge happening because we are abusing nature all right, all out. Now, in nature, it is in a man and a woman relationship, it is in consonance with what is there in nature because it believes
Okay, so basically you're saying that a gay relationship is unnatural. Okay, all right, but Geeta ji, you made your point. Let me keep it rolling. Okay, I'll try and come back to you, I promise. But Raghav, what Geeta ji actually does refer to is perhaps the strongest criticism of gay relationships, that it's unnatural. How do you respond?
Well, I'll say that I don't know what unnatural means. I've been married to my same-sex partner. Sorry, before anybody questions it, I've been legally married because I live in the UK. And yes, I'm an Indian woman, very happily married to my Kiwi partner. And we've been together for 16 years and we have raised are twins who are now 25 years together. So all these questions and all these arguments that I hear all the time that it is unnatural, I keep saying, what is unnatural? Instead of defining and spending so much time arguing about defining marriage, why don't you sit back and define what is unnatural? Because I think love is the most natural thing. See, the problem is, Geeta ji, to respond to you, I think the problem is that we've forgotten that in marriage is a union of love between two people. You said the word Atma. It cannot be we've forgotten over time that because of the kind of heterosexual relationships are, that marriage is just between two biological nature. Love is the most natural thing in this world. And if we can't respect love, then I don't know how we cannot understand the concept of marriage.
Yeah, can I come in?
Just quickly, Geeta, because Tanushri's been waiting very patiently. Go ahead.
Yeah, look, see, I think my point was not to bring it forward that this is whether it is natural or unnatural, but the fact remains here is that, when we are talking about, there are two aspects that have to be looked, because we are trying to look at it from the legal aspect as well as from the social aspect. So, though the argument is being put forth that this will be put under the Special Marriage Act.
Okay.
But we do understand that the Special Marriage Act came into being because there were people who were from different faiths who wanted to come together, man and woman who wanted to come together into union of marriage. Now when you are trying to talk about people of same sexuality, at that point, will it be possible to keep faith out of it? Because marriage,
okay, will it be possible to keep faith out of it? Let me take that question across to Tanushree Bhalla. She's a petitioner in this case. Geeta, got it. Let's get an answer to Geeta ji, to your question. How can you keep faith out of it? Tanushree is a petitioner in this case. We are defined by past traditions, social mores and religion, and therefore how do you keep religion out of it?
First of all, Vishnu, thank you for having me, and thank you for finally giving me the chance to speak. I've been waiting to address Mr. Jha for a long time. In fact, he was one of the reasons I wanted to address this particular debate. Ideally, we should be arguing in the court, so I will keep it very restricted to what is already on record.
Go ahead.
We leave the decision to the judiciary. So Mr. Jha particularly very clearly pointed out that our social mores, our culture, our religion, and this and that. And what exact religion is he relying on? We are not a 1,000-year-old civilization, sir. We are a 7,000-year-old civilization, in fact, even beyond that. And there are enough examples in our mythology, in our theology, even in the Mahabharata, there are examples where same-sex marriages have happened till modern date. I mean, ma'am just pointed out that she is happily legally married to her same-sex partner, but I'm pretty sure that if Mr. Jha actually goes back, he will actually find that our scriptures, and not the colonially translated scriptures, our original Hindu scriptures actually forbid marrying any man. I am speaking to man right now because that is what the shloka says, to a woman if he is not, of an orientation that can procreate with the woman. It is actually forbidden in our culture, and I can prove that in the court. I have already put that research. I am a researcher. We have already placed this. It is for the courts, honorable courts, to decide. So I won't comment anything further. But I am pretty sure that Mr. Jha, I hope that he would perhaps go through that intervention before addressing this question.
Shashank, go ahead, respond.
Yeah, thank you so much. So Supreme, I will be very clear and candid. There were two requests from the Supreme Court today. That was for declaration and recognition of same-sex marriage. Okay, and after listening to the opening arguments of both the sides, Supreme Court has categorically stated that it will not interfere into personal marriages. So whoever is saying over your show that we will have such arguments, etc., will not be counted before the court at all. Now, as far as Special Marriage Act is concerned, less than 1% of the Indian population get registered under Special Marriage Act. But the problem is, if you grant this permission under Special Marriage Act and the recognition and declaration as demanded by the petitioners, the problem is there are n number of other laws which will have a ramification over them. For example, there are inheritance laws, there are adoption laws, there are custody laws, etc., etc. So how will you deal with those?
Figure
so
out,
that is
no.
the problem.
If I may answer that.
And the accurate forum to decide all these, because Supreme Court is doing it in a very constructive manner. So if you have to look into every aspect, the Parliament is the right forum, as already stated by the Government of India.
Okay, Nikita, would you like to respond to that?
Yeah, any kind of change coming into a society will obviously create some kind of disruption, and people will take time to accept it. I mean, there have been so many things that we have experienced over the years. The way the marriage law in itself has evolved over the years. Like child marriage,
Things that
dowry.
were considered traditionally part of Indian marriage, like dowry, has been banned, right? Things have legally evolved even in the context of an understanding of what marriage is. Whether it's in a religious context, whether it's in a social context, both of it has been tackled over time. If we can evolve past all of that, why can't we evolve our understanding of marriage right now? And secondly, to answer,
Well, that really is the question. Why can't we evolve right now? Why are we stuck in our present and possibly even stuck in the past? Look, I'm out of time.
We are a country that changed its currency overnight. I don't know why we can't change marriage.
If I may add just one point, I'm sorry to intervene because it has been a long time, because that was the first question over the physical man and the biological man and the gender and everything. So I would like to explain to Mr. Jha that there is one biological sex, which is what you are by birth. And you also have intersex persons in that. They may not always be like hermaphrodites as in dual sexed. They may also be without sex, neither sex.
Right.
Now, and that is a purely biological thing. Transgenders.
The individual categorization cannot.
Please let me complete. Please let me.
All right. So
complete.
look. I need to wrap this up because I need to move on. But that is the point, Tanushree, we have referred to, that gender is fluid, identity is fluid as well. And we'll certainly look at that more closely later on. Thanks very much. Fascinating debate and an issue which is going to be heard out in court. It's the turn now of the United Kingdom to look closely at the prospect of restricting end-to-end encryption, the technology that ensures that your WhatsApp or Signal communications, whatever you use on your phone, cannot be seen by anyone other than you and the person that you're communicating with. Now, we've had this debate in India. It's basically about the right to privacy versus the right to ensure safety. The UK online safety bill is meant to force internet companies to remove illegal content. But what then about privacy and the right to privacy when we communicate? Joining us, Matt Navarra, former digital communications advisor to the UK government, and Ankit Sharma, a spokesperson for Cybal. Thank you both very much for being with us. Mr. Navarra, is this likely to go through in the United Kingdom? Is it your sense that this government will push this through? Because if it does, for starters, several of these service providers, WhatsApp, Signal, Telegram, may choose not to do business in the United Kingdom at all.
Well, it does seem that way. They've been pushing this agenda for some time, that they are not comfortable with the lack of provisions to kind of keep people safe online, and that with encrypted messaging that there is a way that criminals can abuse that encryption, and they want to find a way to protect younger and more vulnerable users by a series of measures and laws that kind of give more control back to users and to the government. But the rules and ideas around encryption have been, as you say, opposed by most of the big tech companies, who feel it, once you do that for one tech company and give a opening into encryption, then the whole system breaks down. So there's a lot of opposition from big tech.
Ankit, why must we be having this debate at all, since it's well known that governments around the world use software like Pegasus and are already probably snooping on us? So that being the case, I mean, why are we necessarily debating this?
So first of all, we have to understand one thing, that there cannot be a British internet or a version of end-to-end encryption that is just specific to UK, right? If something has to be changed, it has to be changed for every damn country that is that is there, right? Again, the thing related to the encryption. So this is not the first time this particular thing actually surfaced in UK. This is the third time it got surfaced, right? So from Cameroon to Blair. Boris Johnson as well, right? So it has been featured a surface third time in last 20 years. So, we have to understand one thing, right? Because you don't know where to stop. When you start, decrypting all the necessary messages, of every individual, right? All sort of personal messages as well. You don't know whether it is going to be used for the legit purpose or not. What are the modes or what are the things that, or the barriers that they are going to implement so that the purpose which is established to monitor such kind of a traffic is being followed or not, right? Because once it gets into the mass surveillance kind of a thing, things are going to be very difficult for the individuals as well.
Sure.
And the worst part is, yeah.
Matt, I'm just trying to understand if, for example, the British government chooses to go ahead and gets this made into a law, then you know, how would it work? And if these companies, Telegram, Signal, WhatsApp, etc., stay on in the United Kingdom, then they can actually be monitoring communications between a user in the United Kingdom and a user somewhere else in the world. So snooping wouldn't be restricted territorially to just the United Kingdom.
Well, this is part of the problem that the online harms bill, or the online safety bill in the UK, doesn't actually specify specifically what they want to do in terms of making encryption safer in the way that they're trying to. They've kind of got rules in place, or they want to put rules in place that give them the ability to implement changes to the way that encryption works, to give its regulator, Ofcom, the power to implement things further down the line. But the solutions that they're sort of alluding to or suggesting for how encryption can be made safer and be able to be workable for everybody in the way that they're suggesting don't seem like realistic propositions. And the problem is that the tech companies have said for many years, and experts across all industries who know a lot about encryption, more than I do, have already said that once you break encryption and give somebody a backdoor or somewhere an entryway into it, it can be exploited or it could be misused and abused. So there isn't really a solution. And the only one that's been put forward, I believe, is like pre-scanning of messages on your device, so it's still kind of breaking encryption and is a massive invasion of privacy. So there's all sorts of issues for privacy, there's all sorts of issues with data transfers and territories, as you mentioned, and no real workable solution has been put forward. So I suspect that Meta and others will keep to their word and will pull out of the UK for messaging if the law goes forwards, I think.
On the other hand, Matt, what the law tries to do in the United Kingdom is very noble. I mean, to protect children, for example, to prevent pedophiles operating through WhatsApp or whatever it is. What is the way forward if you're trying to enforce the protection of the safety, for example, of children, and yet you want to ensure that encryption still remains? Or is it just one or the other?
Well, there isn't a solution been put forward that everybody can agree on. Sometimes with solutions or cures to things, it's often that the cure is worse than the illness it's trying to sort of solve. It's a question at the moment of what other measures possibly could the UK government and others put in place that add protections for younger users, and everything from the idea of age restrictions and barriers for different types of content and apps, sort of more severe penalties for content moderation for the companies, so there's a bigger incentive for them to take action. There's obviously a piece to do with education, an ongoing piece to do with schools and parents and users being able to have more control over what they're doing and seeing, but also how to use it in a safer way. But in terms of the specific things around encryption, there isn't a solution that works where it doesn't break encryption, but it somehow gives organizations like the police or other bodies a way of tracking criminal activity or protecting those users that they're trying to sort of shield. So sure, we're sort of an impasse at the moment between the UK government and the tech companies.
We're in this impasse over here in India as well. Look, we're completely out of time. I'd like to thank you both very much for joining us. I think the ramifications of that argument in the United Kingdom and whether this law gets pushed through will have an impact in several countries around the world, certainly India as well.